Everyone says being an employee is safe, but I found out the hard way that it's not. Here's how being an employee nearly cost me everything, what I learned along the way. For most of my life, I followed the path, the safe path. I was doing well in school, tried to get good grades, got into one of the top schools in my state, graduated with good grades, graduated with honors, and I went into the workforce thinking that that would somehow entitle me to an executive position or some sort of high up position or six figures of salary, but I was completely wrong. It took me a while. It took me 3 years before I could work my way up to the six-figure mark. And once I got there, I realized that it wasn't what I had imagined. I thought by the time you hit that point, you're successful, you feel great in life, you're super happy, fulfilled, everything that they talk about, if you follow the script. And none of that happened for me. I felt actually quite the opposite. I felt even more depressed than I did when I was making less money. I was almost happier when I was doing the difficult things like going to the gym rather than showing up for work and trading time for money. It just felt like I was dead inside. I felt like I was losing my soul every single day. And so it took a little while, but once I hit that six-figure mark, I pretty much was done at that point. I went ahead and quit my job right after because I realized that what I had been pursuing for so long was unfulfilling. And if I kept just pursuing this path just to make the most money, because I worked in sales, it was all about the money. Everybody was money hungry. They just wanted to make as much money as possible. And I realized that that's not what I want to do. I want to do something that lights me up, something that I feel good about doing every single day, that actually tests me, challenges me, makes me better, allows me to serve other people. Because in sales, you're not really serving other people. You kind of, it's very transactional. You're not really helping your customers as much as you would think. It's kind of sleazy in a lot of ways. And so that's when I pivoted. On that path to six figures, I realized that having a job was not safe. I mean, there were talks of layoffs in my company. There were talks about a lot of other companies laying people off. I had heard about all of these different layoffs going on in the economy. And these were all people that thought that this job was their dream job and that they would be set for life if they stayed at this company. And it's just, there's not that loyalty anymore. Companies don't have that loyalty for employees. Employees don't have that loyalty for their companies anymore. So it's just not safe. Unless you're the one that's running the company, your job is never safe. You're always going to be replaceable. And that's the truth. But if you're the founder of your company, you're irreplaceable. The company, you know, yeah, if you get large enough, you can replace yourself and get a CEO, but that founder energy is hard to replace. And back in 2023, I started a vending machine business while I was working in my sales job. And I started to be way more fired up by that because I could build it from the ground up. All of the income that I made was mine. It wasn't something where I paid a bunch of crazy amount of taxes, income taxes, all the other BS that comes with working a job. I didn't have to worry about other people telling me when I needed to work. I had complete freedom to do whatever I wanted. I had complete freedom to go and stock up my vending machines whenever I wanted. And it was like a drug to be able to do that. And so it was hard for me to go back to a 9 to 5 and then be an employee. And then on the weekends, go and be my own employer. And truthfully, at that point, I wasn't really learning anything in sales anymore. I had learned everything I needed to learn. It wasn't training me to be a better entrepreneur. I had already learned what I needed to learn. Face rejection, face failure directly. And it it was really just for the money at that point. So I made a pivot, and that's when I realized I didn't want to work forever for somebody else's dime. I wanted to create my own assets that produced me money every single month. And that's when I decided to pivot and start pursuing areas that I wanted to learn about and do that for my job, because that's when you really start to learn. And so I took a huge pay cut. I lost probably $100,000 in income by moving to this new job that I'm at. And within a month of being here, I've already learned more skills than I did in probably the last 3 years in sales. And now I'm already starting to get things in motion for building my own assets, specifically buying real estate and getting into boring businesses again. I do have my vending machine company still going, but buying, bigger assets, like buying some apartment buildings. Those are things that I'm really interested in. And now the CEO and the COO of my company have kind of taken me under their wing to teach me some of this stuff. And it's not like it just, came out of nowhere. I've worked really hard for it, but when you get on the path, like what your calling is, things just start to align for you out of nowhere, and it's crazy to think about. If there's anything that I can encourage y'all to do, is to pursue what you want to learn about, not necessarily what you want to earn, because the skills that you learn, especially in your younger years, is going to compound over the decades. If you're in a path that you don't want to be in, you're the one that has the opportunity to change it. You're the only person that can change your life. It's not something that I can just say and all of a sudden you're going to start believing it. You got to tell yourself every day that, okay, I am going to get this done. I am going to be an entrepreneur. I am going to be the greatest entrepreneur in the world. You got to tell yourself that every single day and believe it, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And especially if you're an employee, you got to change your mindset around your identity. You got to start believing, I am an employer. I can create money out of nothing. Over time, you're gonna be amazed at how your life turns out. I can't wait to see what happens with y'all. So thank y'all for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe. Check out this next video if you're interested in more content like this. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.